Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our class 452 malware analysis. For today, instead of like going back on the lecture part, so I would like to make sure everyone is like ready and have a clear idea what we are doing. So slightly recap and introduce a FreeVM, like why we need to install it and what's the differences like instead of like I'm telling you using some online tools or just like install it by yourself. Okay. And just like be prepared for the coming lab, then I will like tell you what we need to be ready. Then just make sure you're okay, then we can like move on to next step. Okay. So just like for kind of like recap what we learned before. So in our previous lab and then in our lecture, we try to talk about some like static analysis, right? So we need to examine those malware code. So most of the start with the MD5 FSH A1. So if you still remember, like we look at those, because based on the hashing, then we can able like as a first step, why this they can have you like ever ask a question, why those are malware analysis like or antivirus software can quickly detect, or like have you ever maybe if you upload something to the Google Drive, if you download some application software, any files, how come those antivirus software can detect it and block it immediately? Then here's the reason, because we try to looking for those like what are the code, those code, okay? So maybe some structure, so we can able to like match it. So it's pretty quick. So that's why like in our in our previous lab, we try to look at the MD5 was actually A1. So we try to match it. Or when we use virus total, so we look at those like patterns. Okay, so we can match. So they have a library database. So we, of course, we don't have to save by ourselves. But when we are working on them, they have a library database, save it, so they match it. And we try to focus on identify those like key property. So they say where they try to import those string or like pack content, some embedded resources. So that's like what the static analysis is doing. So if you remember, we have the PE view, or like we have the bin text. We never use like we only like show you one or two and that's it, or IDA poll or like disassembling or like signature based analysis. So we like hashing the identity, find those node samples. That's why here's a reason, because when we try to investigate and analyze those malware, if every time when we use different tool, if for online tool it's easy, strict, like directly we can just like open the website browser, upload it. Okay, so if we need to use other tools, okay, then do we need to like install every time and then like based on it? So that's why we will install the freeware, because it will include all the tools and then you can use it. Okay, so it create environment, so help us to do analysis. Here's the reason. And because as the first like few labs, so just like letting you know, like if we need to do static analysis, then if we download some potential file, how can we check it? Okay, so what kind of application we need to help us to like check those like the code or like those file structure components, then this is what we need to do. And when we talking about using the FreeVM, then we will probably review the structure, the PE file. So you still remember like we have the header sessions, the PID. So we will maybe identify the packets like cryptors, like protectors. So using in the area or the bin test. We are not yet use all of them, and hopefully in the later lab I would like you to try and then try to use the different of these tools. Then you can like examine it. Okay, so we try to extract the readable strings from the binary file from the the binary. So and the ID pool, so they can like disassemble and as some like executable files. This we're going to use like for doing static analysis. So we know what's it. And if like one of the, like, let's say when we use the preview and when we open it, so just like help you to recall memory if you currently remember a previous lab like for pack the unpack it, and then when we try to load in the file and we're using the data easy and then try to unpack it and then load the files and look at some like headers, like some possible structure. So that's we try to review their like section, some important libraries and possible some substitution like functions. So do they like try to create some extra process? And are they loading certain libraries? So let's say some virtual allocate. So are they use some try to allocate some virtual memories? Okay, so that's how we were going to use like one of example if we are going to use the FairyM. So it's pretty similar. Instead of like we have to like based on the file or like our topic, then we have to install it. FairyM just like provide environment to us. Like okay, we can use. If you go to open, I will open my VM later and then we will check it. But when we're doing the static analysis, then of course we do have some limitation, so we need to know. And for the one-time behavior, we cannot detect it. That means like okay, for the static analysis, we cannot like refer those malware. So during the execution, maybe they will do some self-modifying. So those code. So they only or they will experience sometimes with like packet file, like pack with the packet one. Then if we don't exterminate those software, okay. So they only like taking action, like prefer certain action during execution. Then we have no way to check it. And then when it's like packing, so when we look at it, so if they are packed, then we cannot analyze it. So we need to check. And then sometimes it's like they do have a limited information. So some attacks only like become visible through the network activity. So in the dynamic analysis, we will cover something. How can we like checking those like network access like or some system modification during the runtime. So that's why we need to cover this part. And that's why we need to move on to the dynamic analysis that it happened. And for the dynamic analysis, it involves like those like executing the malware. So we need to really like execute, open the file. Okay, but we need to make sure it's safe. Like we are not using our own laptop to open a file, and even for the testing. Okay, for analysis, we try to like do it in a controlled environment, sandbox or VM, and just like our latest exercise, we were doing a basic one like for the basic dynamic analysis we try to upload. So it's one of the sandbox we created is the website in just like anyone or we checking the hybrid analysis this platform. So they are the virtual like the sandbox to help us to observe its behavior. So after we upload a file, they try to let like being secure and then check. Okay, so we need to know or understand how those malware interact with the system. So like does it include some like network communication? Do they modify certain files or do they like change some registry files? So all these will be included in our dynamic analysis. And if most of you follow the steps we did in the on our Tuesday lab. So right here, so we try to upload the file and then try to see those that report. Okay, so this way we can get those results. Of course, they already provide the environment for us, like they kind of like sandbox for us to check. So what kind of action they has been taken, and we can categorize like the techniques using one is called behavior monitoring. So we will like monitor those that process, and then also the network traffic analysis. So sometimes you see the traffic network, right? So under the tree, like one of the category, and we can use the Wireshark. So I think you heard a lot, and then we're going to see like what kind of like for the network communication they will perform, and then also includes the file system and visual monitoring. So will be the key techniques we taking place for the dynamic analysis. And you may check your tools like open because I have some like they're missing, and here's the common we'll see, or like even in the coming new lab for next week. So we need to like prepare then some application we going to use, let's say the Wireshark, we need to capture and as a traffic, network traffic, or next we will mention the program, and then the monitoring the file system, registry and process activity. So this will be like next time we need to do. And then the Wireshark, and then it will capture system snapshots and then compare them to detect like the change. Okay, and then the Cocoon sandbox. So we will execute a memory in the sandbox environment and record its like behavior. So on these the attach the fair VM. Okay, so after we install it, if you remember, I asked you like to make the screenshot for like set up the environment, and then I like in the first time I just like install it, and you will see on the left hand side there's a box like other tools you can import. So based on what kind of tool we need to use, then we can import it and install it. Okay, and I say because like sometimes because the API and then they will reject the installation, it will fail. So okay, maybe you need to try several times. So make sure be ready. So if those you are able to install the fair VM, so you can try to like check those tools you can use, and even we can repeat the steps like we did from our previous lab. So we can do it in the same similar. Okay, and one of we are going to use will be this one. So when you if we need to run the sample, so we already download it from the kit in our control VM, then we need to launch it and then capture the system codes. So it will including those like file creation, registration modification. So we use it to check those unusual file activities, and then do they create some executable? That means the exe files, some binary files, and do they modify the system settings like during the execution? Okay, so that's what we need to use. And if you are not yet able to install like fix the VM setting or like install the free VM, then we need to install it by ourselves. But if you are able to do it, then better to try to use it, start from the VM looking for those tools. Okay, and lots of you emphasize why we like lost connection cannot download. After we start to really using the fair VM, if you install successfully I always say we need to change the network adapter or your network setting to host. Okay, so never use the NAT because or like because you try to pass the network. Okay, so here's really dangerous because like when you are running on the VM, and then that means that your own desktop or maybe your some online system or wherever running. So if you let them share internet, that means they can scan the port. They can, if they have some malware like virus, then they can spread to your own local machine. So inject to yours. So that's why it always create a code system. Okay, isolated control environment. In the previous, so I say like try not to open it, execute it, but because for examine those files, then it's okay. We can upload to those platform, and then they have the sandbox to test it, or we just like checking the hashing like MD5. So it's okay at the moment. So if you need to download, so we can still access the internet. But later, if we need to really like checking, then it's better to execute execute those files in a controlled environment. Okay, so I will recommend you like after you install it, always take a snapshot. Okay, keep it, or like before you take install a VM, keep the one snapshot with the network connection, so we can like download test something online. And if for the later, then for the fair VM, then try to take a snapshot after you complete the installation. Okay, then we can like test it. So you have to at least 2 snapshots, and also like you can take it like for every lab, so you can save one version. Okay, that's what we're going to do. And another one, maybe more of you like already know the Wireshark when it's the like networking, so we need to monitor the network traffic with the Wireshark. So it's one of the tools we are using like when we install the firmware. So it's going to install and use. Okay, so we are trying to look for some like outbound connections. Maybe they connect to some subspace like IP or domain. Okay, so in dedicated like those like command and control server may be possible, and then we try to capture those HTTP requests or some like DNS domain name servers like queries or some unusual ports. Do they try to open certain ports or access to certain port? Okay, so that's like we're going to like network for the network communication. And when we talk about like we have the sandbox, right? But for the meltdown, they will start. If you remember the lecture, we like cover some tennis. Like we talk about anti-sandbox tennis. So they try to maybe they would detect and alter the behavior when they execute in the virtual machine or sandbox. Then you may be asked the question, okay, how do we know it's a sandbox? Have you like think about, okay, so what's possible or how can we detect? Actually, for the system, actually, the backbone, they would know if it's like built on the virtual machine or actually the local machine. Okay, so that's why they are able, or like the sandbox, because when we create those sandbox or VM, so we can write some program to detect it. Okay, so before they execute, that means they be actually after maybe the user execute the file or before they start to like duplicate themselves, they will try to check is this VM. So if it's VM, then maybe possible under monitoring and access, right? So they're not like taking action. So they pretend they're safe. Okay. Evaluation techniques including they may be the delay is payload or only the tracking under specific condition. So if you remember the bomb, the bomb, that means we um, only execute maybe there is a specific day or like certain environment time. So this we call that like delay is like payload. Okay. So in the dynamic analysis, we are not able to figure out. And then resource like intensive. So maybe for the dynamic analysis, it require more like computational resources because we need to like run maybe in multiple VMs or monitor the system executing, like compare with static. Static, we just scan the file away, compare the hash, and then some code contents. But for dynamic, you see, we always need to upload it because we have the like any the one if you did try the or the hybrid analysis that one. So we upload it, it takes some time, right? So we cannot get the result immediately. Okay, so it process some time and then they try to execute the file. So I'm not sure how many of you like check it or wait for the result. Then maybe you can see like also for different Windows system that you see we have the 11, 10, older version 7, or for the Linux system. Okay, so different type Linux system. So all this that means that we need to create multiple VMs. Okay, then is a challenge to do it. Then in like cover those possible like challenge or like the area for the dynamic analysis, then we can provide some like advanced level, like including the API hooking. So maybe we will try to monitor some like system calls or API interaction, so made by the malware. So like on top of that, we try to check if we remember right here, maybe we are checking for the like behavior process monitoring, then we'll monitor those like files like system machinery like process activity. Then also maybe we'll try to hook with the API that we're checking. Okay, and then some like memory. So memory for example, so we will enhance the memory dump to the some detect the malicious like process or inject the code. So this one will be work on the memory layer too. Okay, so not only the network or not only the like some right here, maybe some communication at the file activities, but also we'll check the memory like in this layer, and also some advanced network analysis. So including like decode the traffic, identify some like encrypted communication, so or obfuscate communication. So it would be like this. Kind of like sum up of all these things. So we compare with the static and dynamic, conclude like we does not execute the malware, and then just like to identify the structure, packed file, and strings, or like some imports, but we do have the limited, right? And then for dynamic, then we will observe like real-time behavior. This we're going to do, and then it helps us to like uncover some runtime action, but still not yet able like for the dynamic area. We always talk about the network activity, which we change our file system, and then for advanced, we talk about like the API hooking like this. Then we need to set up the like control environment to avoid the system components. Okay, so we like this, and then we'll move on introduce like more about the fair VM or the WM, the working machine. Okay, so if I part of the fair VM. Okay, so when you see the name, so you manage a window-based working station and perform some reverse engineering tasks. Okay, so when we doing the reverse engineering, like because all the stuff when we writing the program, then we will using compiler, interpreter, and a packet to executable file, right? But for us like to doing reverse engineering, that means that we need to based on those binary file, executable files, and doing reverse checking, and then those headers, section, link, library, all these things to see. So it can help just like simplify the process interacting some virtual environment. This we need to look. So right now all the pixel the pixels like we did like in a previous step, everything you're doing, and we try to put them together. Okay, and it would be essentially like for workspace manager, then we can help us like to simplify the workflow. Okay, so it can dealing with multiple VM machine and then streamline tasks. So part of it we're doing a reverse engineering and then static dynamic analysis. So also including the debugging. So there's a function. So we always like after we set the VM, then we can launch it, and this one yeah, okay, and they have some like pre-installed tools just like preview, like PID, or like the x64 debugger. So later in our lecture part includes the it's a reverse engineering. You see like x86 I say it's like it's a 32-bit. Okay, but for nowadays we include the like 64 bits, right? So how can we apply the idea and then the knowledge, and then of course right now we have more stuff like because the system OS they change. Okay, and just like how can we allows us like perform static analysis, so we can open the malware sample, inspect it, structure, analyze the code. So it's like we can do it. And also for the dynamic analysis, so after we open the sandbox of VM, so that's what they're doing. So they can use the Wireshark for network analysis, the program CMON, and to monitor the process and to monitor the process activity. So this is we're going to use. And also debugging, and then for the x64 already debugged, also can allow some steps through debugging. And if we need to looking just like kind of a pretty straightforward, just like after you open the tooth and then select the files for analysis, and then you can run the exe, the executable file, the binary file within the sandbox like in our environment. Okay, so it will start to do that analyzing, okay, the behavior, and then we can look for some like unusual call to the Windows API, such as import or some encoded session. So that's like all the tools. Okay. And or the Wireshark, if you all know, like after we open it, then you will see they will trigger like in the sandbox and see what kind of like network traffic generated, and also what kind of DNS request or the HTTP, HTTPS traffic or C2 server communication. So all these that you see, we are just using different type of tools, those application to the monitoring. And for this one, we can customize for the fair VM. Also, we can customize the environment, so we can add our own and copy the executables to appropriate directories, and also we can customize the layouts to improve the workflow, create a shortcut. So, and also it will support like the automation, so it can like automate some like repetitive like task as like malware analysis scripts. Also, we can write a PowerShell script or batch file to automate setup tasks like unpack the malware dumping process. So all this. And also we can provide a collaboration in the team environment, so you can like be part of an analysis team. Then you can set up the workspace to share across like multiple systems, so you can enable team to have the same setup with the shared like repository of the code configuration analysis result. So we can do all this. So kind of like why not I go through all this, like just like recap of what we did before, and then just tell you more about the fair VM. So maybe you're confusing, okay, maybe I'm frustrating, okay, after I install it but we are not using it, then I give you a rough picture about why we're creating it. Okay. And I think if you're still working on it, waiting of result, then try to like get it be ready. And later, just like let you know, I will upload the next a few days later before next week. Then I will upload it. Then it will challenge you. We need to like use different tools. So I need to make sure you have a I understand like why we are install VM, and or when we need to do the dynamic analysis, then what are the possible tool we're going to use, and then doing analysis. Then how can we check the hasher, and or maybe how can we check those contents, okay, link, or what did they do? Okay, and I will post this one later, so I just want to make sure you are okay to do it. And let me switch back to our ferry, my windows right here. Okay, so if you are if you go to your folder C drive, if you have not yet checked, where some of you already have, like if you check your tool, so what kind of tool you install, or like on the folder. Okay, so if you're missing something, if you want to install something back, then you can do it, and you can open your PowerShell and run as admin, and then let me change the directory to download, because I CD. Okay, so remember always like so So after you install it, it will pops out the asking you, have you so are you okay? They didn't check it, or like did you disable the antivirus real time? So remember to disable the your Windows like security defender, and also maybe sometimes maybe better to even stop the auto update for a while when you're preparing it. So but from the official website they always say if you receive some failure. So here the question like just like reminding you, okay, did you say about this, like are you sure? Okay, so you can like keep pressing yes, and then start your installation. And
Question,
you
sir.
see
You're
they
currently installing the player VM on your Windows VM. Is that what you're doing right now?
Yes, yes, yeah. So if you are not so sure, then it's actually doing it this way. Okay, so you need to, after you create the Windows on your VM, right? So we will install the fair VM based on this. Okay, so they will based on this your Windows, and then they will your foundation is your Windows. Okay, and then we can download from the Git, then you can install it. So you will see here is the installation required, and you see right here for the VMs they create lots of different type of application right here, and you can choose like if you have specific one, if you want to convert it, then of course you can just like import it, or if you want to add more, then you can just like add off them. Okay, but it may take longer time, so you will see the x64 debuggers right here, and then the one shot. Okay, so if you have something like this, okay, then you can try to install it. But probably because if you have something like a complete, then you can create a new Windows and then try to install it one more time. Okay. But just repeat one more time. If you fail, it's common. Okay, it's normal because um, even from their official from their website, the GitHub, they always put the notice in case you fail the certain installation. It's common because the API link or timeout or something it failed. So you maybe need to try it again, do it several times. Okay. So here will be some tool or application we are going to use it for later, so you can like do it and press OK. But if you experience that, you can repeat OK. Therefore today I try to make it like slower because we have so many when we do analysis we have multiple applications to need to install. So I maybe make today or like next lab slightly slow down, so give you more time to prepare for it. Okay. So this why I specific change today's lecture to like just go through all these things, and then you can press OK and then let it run. Okay. And I don't want to take my resources. Okay. So some like constraint, and then the checklist folder. Okay. They try to download. If it's okay, then you see it's like 100% they're able to do it. Okay. But I will pause in this moment. I don't want to take my resources time. So I will do it later. So you can take your time to install it. And kind of like before originally like part of my lecture. So I will just like go through a little bit, and if you have any problem issue, then I will spend this time to help you to solve it. Okay. And if you no other question, then you're feel free to do your own stuff, or like if you want to leave, then you can feel free to leave. Okay. So back to our reverse engineering on the system like SSC or like 32-bit. So when we write those program, right, you can see, so you see like we create integer print hello and exit, right? And if we try to write those programs, then we will try to compile it. So we have through the compiler, so it will change the machine code. Okay, or assembly code in the CPU, they will execute it. Okay, and we use a disassembler, so it will change it and to kind of like low level for when we do analysis, and then to check it. Okay, they like push something to the some register, or like to certain memory subject for certain location. Okay, So here's like mainly we are doing, so that's why we call the reverse engineering. So I just like what I explained it before. And during the program execution, so we have like for CPU, including the register, some conditional code, the EIP, and so in the CPU and memory, okay, so including we're sending what's the address, okay, to access, and then based on address received, we communicate through sending the data, like we need to do some process, we send the data to CPU, and CPU after calculation, and then we will maybe store it back, put it back to the memory, and also we will get the instruction from the memory. Okay, so when you learn OS, just like you know how it operates, right? And include those like object codes, program data, OS data, also the stack for the execute those like programs. And in the visible state, so we see the EIP, those that will including the instruction pointer. So they will have like the program calendar. If you remember the PC, the program calendar, that means I will pass one, and then including for the next one. So which ones will load? Okay, and then they always like, store the address of next instruction. So we will like access the memory. And so what we learn, or sometimes we never mention about how can we inspect the NSS memory, this part, right? So for the advanced part, like for the dynamic analysis, then we try to inspect, like examine the memory. Okay, and then the virtual file. So we will because they are heavily use the program data, so accessing the data. So then it's also, and then the condition code. So they will store some status information. So about some like most recent arithmetic operation. So including like are you adding, subtract, okay, and then some used for the conditional branching, okay, and then in the memory that this size, so will be the byte addressable array, and then include those code, user data, OS data. So they are also right here. And also the stack used to support procedures. So here's the structure. And the register. The register include will be like the processes they will operate on the data right here in the register. So we say usually, and then typically when the data they load into a register, so they will manipulate or used, and then they return back to the memory. So we send it like from the register and they send it back to memory. And then the architecture is called register pool. So so the general purpose of those like register try to make some like content switching and then amongst the process like faster. And then the source or like the destination operand, they are often the memory location. So if we are access more obviously, so they can be okay. And right here we mention about the IA32 architecture. So for those like IA32 register file, so includes like the general process right here. Maybe you see the memory location, like some execute register EAX, ECX, EDX. So if you familiar with the I think when you learn machine language or assembly, then you will know those are registers. So we're going to access. And then some special purpose register, ESP, EBP. So including the step pointer, frame pointer. So they're moving with directory. And then the operand type, so including some typical instruction. So they will add one or more like operand. Let's say they add EXE or EXD together, then they will add those like content of like ECX, the matrix the C, and then to the EXD, EDX. So maybe they have like three general type of operands. So maybe if we have some like immediately outside the C constant, but they will proceed like by the dollar sign right here. So some dollar sign. So they will encode with like one or two or four bytes. Okay. So based on the instruction, So they will see that they all power from like 2 to power 0, 1, and 2. And they can also like use on some like symbols in binary to denote the address. So they move and then let's say the array and then to which register. So they will move the address of variable array to this like register ECX. Okay. And register will be includes the value in one of the 8-integer register, and also the memory will be the memory address. So there are many more for the addressing memory, and we're not covering all this. And if we are using the moving like, so we have different source, immediately the image date, and then register and memory. So we have 3 tab, and then for destination, including the register or memory, or for the from the register we're saying to register, and then the register or put it back to memory, and or the memory to register. So you see like different combination when we move it. So immediately to the register. Okay, immediately to the maybe some memory location. You see breaking, and if you see waiting in the C, or pretty similar with the C purpose, when you know C purpose, so we have the pointer. So if we have the time location and then we have the pointer, so it's a memory or register to memory like this. So here will be the example. And also we have the memory address mode. So because we have different mode, right? So we have the immediate or register, they have only one mode, and the memory on the other hand have many, because when they load it from the memory, they can take a single instruction. So including like absolute. So for absolute, they will specify the address of the data. So we're like exactly which address of the data or indirect. Okay, so we like use the register to calculate the address. So it's called indirect. Or we will add the base and displacement. Okay, so we'll use the register as the absolute address to calculate the address. Okay, so you see more complicated. And then we also can use the index. So we can add content of the integer register, so bring together, and also some like scale index. So we will add the content of an index register by scale of a constant. Okay, and just like moving and add a constant to it, and that's why we said many more. Okay, so here's some like keywords you need to like be careful and remember. So like what are those like operand type, and then also like some memory address mode. And before we move on, and I will just like let's stop right here will be the talk about our 32-bit like x86 instructions. It be about the related to rules. So the source operand can be like memory.
Sarah, I have a question. Is it really necessary to try to remember all of those assembly code
No,
operands going forward for their
no,
usages?
you just need some like works. Like let's say if we have some idea knowing, okay, for the memory address mode, so you know like we have some like you know what's absolute. If I ask you to know what's absolute, to know what's indirect. Okay, so you need to know the type of, but you don't have to memorize like how it really looks like. Okay, just need to have an idea. Is it your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. So if you know if I ask you maybe right now we have 5 different types of mode, right? Okay, so including, so you have like we have a really actually that means like actually what's the specific address of the data, or like maybe through the register, so it's like called indirect. Then if you have a concept, it's okay like this. Okay, but I'm not really asking, okay, for indirect, what's the register like look like this, like what's the format? So I'm not asking any question related to this type. Okay, so don't worry about this part. And but for some keywords you need to know. Okay, and here will be idea and then including also the relation, like if I have a source from like immediate, or then I can move it to destination, including the register or memory, or if from the register, I can say to register or memory like this. Okay, so you have some idea, then it's okay. And the destination can be memory or register, and only one of the source or and the destination can be memory. Okay, and source and destination must be same size. So here's like kind of the rules. So if you have an idea, but when we do analysis, then really we need to like connect or like link with the system, because why not, this one is 32-bit but kind of like fade out. Okay, but even 64-bit like for instruction slightly like will be similar. Okay, so if you will see some like source code when we do reverse engineering, and they try to have some operation, they sending certain like from the source, from the immediate and then send to destination, including the register or memory. So it's the like normal operation. Then we need to find, okay, if I want to find a source, where should I go? Okay, if for some source like it's from register, then maybe I need to search for some register or memory. Or from the memory, the destination is memory, then where should I go? Okay, maybe some register or some from some immediate source. Okay, so just like how can we trace back? So you have the idea, but you don't have to like memorize or this part. Right? On the right hand side, start from this part. You don't have to really remember it. What's the register number? Okay, and so far I will stop right here about the instruction. So I try not to like confuse too much, and I will keep this part um for our next week. And I would like to know, like, because I know some of you have some still have before have some difficulty installing. So, do you have any progress, or are you still working on it? Or if you need help, then you can stay here, and then you're welcome to share. Then, when I'm helping you to like work on it, then others can watch it. Then they maybe have similar problem, so we can like solve it together. Okay, and I'll just stop the lecture right here. And if you have no any question, you feel free to leave. If you have question, then you can stay. Then I can help you.
I
Okay.
believe I have trouble with the UPX,
Okay,
my
UPX.
my virtual machine.
Mhm.
Whenever I try to unpackage something, it says that it wasn't packaged by UPX, and so it can't unpack it. But it's the same files that I believe the lab is asking us to unpackage.
Okay. Um, could you maybe already unpack it? Okay. So let me pause it. Because once you unpack it, then you cannot, like, if you unpack the pack file, then you cannot unpack it one more time. So you say they already, or could you show me what's the error log if you okay?
Yeah, here, give me a second.
Okay, sure. Okay, let me stop my sharing. Okay, let me see the setting. Okay, let me stop it. Okay, so let me know if you can share.
So even just like right here, I have
Oh,
um UPX tag D with the file location um
okay.
and some
I got your problem. Okay, so right here you go to the folder. So it's a zip file, right? So go to the labs, and then we will be the dynamic. Go back to yes, 1-2.
oh,
This
it's
is
this one?
dynamic, and yes. So right now you have two folders, right? Okay. So no, unpack and pack that will be our static lab. Okay, the basic static analysis. Okay. So right here you will see the zip files. And why not they are all zipped file? So you need to unzip it. So why not this one is the zip file? So that's why you cannot using the UPX.
Okay, and so that's another problem that I've run into is whenever I
Mm-hmm.
try to extract it and then put it in here,
Mm-hmm.
saying that I get errors trying to do each one.
Condition. Okay. So you may cancel it and can okay.
Uh,
Okay, so it's empty. Okay. So you may delete the file. Okay. So when you install Fairware, let's see if you have the when you right click the file, let's see if you have the 7-zip or other application installed. So
say that again, sir.
okay, try to unzip it. You click the file and right click, go to let's see, open with. Okay, so you don't have a 7-zip. Okay.
No, so
Um
this is my secondary VM that I mentioned because I have Flare VM on the first one,
mhm,
but
mhm,
because I couldn't access the internet anymore, instead of just doing a snapshot back, I
mhm,
created a
mhm.
second one so that I could do the labs for
Okay,
the
okay,
time being.
okay. Um I think one thing right now the Windows cannot unzip this file. So let me see. Because you need to enter the password, but it kind of like
Yeah, and I haven't seen the password, and even the password, the file is actually 0 kilobits, so it's empty.
okay, yeah. Maybe some of the Git is missed, but all the password is the same. So it will
Yes,
be
it'd be
infected.
infected.
Yeah, yeah, infected. So when I try to build why not using you the okay, so back to your question because you use the UPX because you are trying to this one is not for unzip a file. So that's why you got the error. Okay. So for your step one in this moment, we need to unzip it
So I
first.
need to be able to unzip this file and then pass these in.
Yes. And then you're using UPX to unpack the packed file.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what you need to do. Okay, so but why not? That's why you got that error. Okay, so either maybe using unzip or it's weird because you cannot But I think I tried to use the window itself to my it works. So um let's see if you either you can if you can access the network then you maybe try to download the 7-zip and try to you can open the browser and search for 7-zip and try to download it. Okay, maybe you can use Google Chrome. Okay, so search
To 7-zip.
yes. Okay, and then you can download for your Windows, and you can download. We can use for 64-bit. Would be that on the top. Okay, yes, and then you can install it. So it's a pretty download and verify file. You need to click download and verify file. So otherwise it will block the download. So it's
Oh,
okay.
download, unverify.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. I was looking at the wrong one, sorry.
Okay. So I think you did then. Okay. So it takes some time. Okay. And then just execute it. Okay, it's done. Okay, good. Close it. Okay, so go back to the file. the folder. Okay, open the folder and then right click, try to this one still is the default, so it's not the it's not yet. Let's see. Suppose you should have this right click. Let me see one more time. Property, no. Shred. Oh, okay. Go to property. Yes, property and change the open width. This one I just have to change the by default. So you can choose an application on your PC. So go to the 7-zip, yes. And then we can choose the file manager FM. 7-zip FM file manager, yes. And then open. And then you can say as default, then we can use 7-zip to unzip all the files. And then, yeah, okay, I apply, okay, okay. So, and then try to open it. And double click. Or you can like click open, it's okay. So don't use the this when you're using the actual is using the Windows is unzip. So you're using just press enter, the first one open. So we're using 7-zip to open it. Okay, so you can drag the file or using extra. So you can drag the file to the location.
So I can just take it here and
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So okay, right now you can input the password. In fact, okay. Okay. That means the Windows have some. Okay, you forgot to turn off the the.
sorry, I turned them all off. It just says
Sorry about this one because the Windows someday even you turn it off, it will turn on by itself. So you need to go to click the arrow small the arrow right here. If you can see my arrow, okay. So go to the right bottom corner. So you see the arrow on top, right? Okay. So click on it and then you see the so okay, action needed. So you can click on open it. Let's see, maybe the real time may be still on or somehow. Okay, it's off and then go to this one, go to so right now manage. Okay, real time production.
it got turned on again.
Yes, it
Oh
always
my God.
so annoying. Okay, but that's not our problem. Okay, so it's the issue of the Windows. Sometimes they will just turn it back by itself. So we need to turn it on, make sure. Okay, so let's see, maybe they already quarantine. So okay, maybe you can unzip it one more time. Even if you want, you can go back to the quarantine file and put it back, but you can just unzip it one more time. So it's pretty fast. Okay. Okay, yeah, go good. Okay, so you have two files. Okay, you're good. So right now you can before you using UPX to unpack it, you just need to unpack the pack file. Okay, so because the not pack the one you do. Okay, but I want to let you to check it first. Like you need to compare before you use the UPX and after you use it, what's the differences? What you observe using detailing. Okay.
I was wondering because I had done the DIE on these files through, but they kind of look similar. But one did say it was unpacked and one did say it was packed
Okay.
with the DIE. But I guess because I hadn't fully unzipped it, it wasn't showing everything.
Yeah, you're not yet unserious. So it will treat it as a like when we try to. So that's why when we do the actually like not only the malware analysis, also for another class called the digital forensics. So I give an example is like if you don't unzip it, when we look at the static file, so they're only able to see like the NA file or everything like this. Okay.
Oh yeah, there's way more on this now.
Okay, yeah, we'll be like this. Okay, good. Then you are okay. Okay, let me see if I'm still not asked the question. Okay, work, but I need to install it. Okay. I will
And
see.
so do I need to take pictures or
Yes,
screenshots of
please.
this
Yes. Yeah.
and then the same one for the other file and then unpack this one and then screenshot that for the lab?
Yes. Yeah. So for this one, you need to screenshot both, like before you pack it, before you use UPX to unpack it, make a screenshot, and then use the UPX to unpack it, then make a screenshot, and then compare like what kind of differences do you observe. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Then
that
I
makes
think
way
you're
more
good.
sense because it wasn't allowing me to unzip and I couldn't understand. And I was trying to look back at your lectures, but you haven't quite
Uh-huh.
posted everything off of on the YouTube and
Okay.
on the Zoom they
Ah,
require a password. So I couldn't quite look back at see what I think Tyler had tried to had something similar.
okay, sure, sure. Well, I just like go back to the Zoom the link, and then I download those like previous, and I will upload to the. I'm keep working on it, but depends time, and I try to like as soon as possible like upload all the record the video to YouTube. Okay. Okay. So
Okay, thank you for the assistance on this.
okay, no problem. Okay, so I will see for other student if you have no other question. So I think it may help other student too if they have same um same problem. Okay, let me have another student to answer questions. If you have no other question, you feel free to leave. And that's it. Okay, have a good one.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So, another question. So if you have no other question, then I will stop the sharing. Me know. Okay. So you have no other question, then I will start my sharing. Thank you.